Today, I happened to wake up and the first thing I saw on my feed was this wonderful short story. It was a video, and I wanted to share it with you from what I remember because it really resonated with me. So I'm going to hold up a glass of water, and everyone unmute real quickly, unmute. Tell me how much you think this glass of water weighs.
I have no idea.
12
70
ounces?
Okay, 12 ounces. That's a good guess.
About 10. Yeah.
10.
About 10 ounces, yeah.
Okay, 10 ounces. Okay,
I'd say maybe 8.
8.
8,
I agree, Monique.
I say
Okay.
9 ounces.
9. Okay.
It's not heavy yet.
Ooh.
And it's half full as well.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
Actually, more than half full.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So there's no really, I don't know how much it weighs. There's really no correct answer. It just depends on who's holding the glass of water. So imagine that if you are holding this glass of water and how long you're holding it for. If you're holding this glass of water and you're taking a sip and you put it down and you take a sip, you don't really acknowledge the weight. If you're holding, however, this glass of water like this for maybe 3-4 hours, your hand starts to shake, right? It becomes kind of uncomfortable. And despite you trying to go through your day or talk to someone, you can't help but feel that there's this thing that's distracting you, this pain, and it won't go away. Like my hand's even shaking. It hasn't even been a minute. But say you're holding this glass of water for like a year or 5 years or 10 years. So you would probably, your hand would probably just crash down. You become paralyzed right here. The glass of water, you probably let go of it and it would shatter. So what I'm saying is imagine that water is a stressful moment. So everyone has stressful moments, right? Everyone has stress in their lives. You have stress that comes along, say a scenario at work or in your family or whatever it may be. And you acknowledge it, and then it's healthy and you move past it and you go throughout your day. That's just like taking the sip, right? If you have stress in your life and you hang on to it for a couple hours because you have this imposter syndrome or you're self-critical of yourself and it's just completely ruins your day. I can't believe I said that at the meeting. I can't believe I did that to this person. What do they think of me? It pretty much fogs your whole day and you can't really concentrate, at least to your full potential. Sort of like if you're holding this glass of water for 4 hours while you're trying to talk to someone, you start to feel like this pain, this uncomfortableness. Say if you're holding that stress on for years, 10 years, 20 years, what happens? Just like holding the glass of water, you become paralyzed. It can drive you to just potentially to your last day on this earth. It starts breaking you down. It starts breaking you down. And when I saw that this morning, I was just like, oh my goodness, this so resonates. And I just take it for granted that if you're like me, if you've been like me, the stressful moments, I tend to just push aside and keep moving forward. I'm starting and trying and committing to be better at recognizing it. And when I recognize it and say, why, Andrea, why are you stressed at this moment? Why? You are allowed to be stressed, but why are you hanging on to it? Will it matter a day from now, 5 years from now? Does that person really think that about you? Or is it all in your head? Were you really that bad when you were speaking at your meeting? Or again, are you criticizing yourself? Is it in your head? Is it your narrative? Is it necessary stress? So that really made me think, and I wanted to really share that message with you all. At the same time, something else that came in my mind was, depending who's holding this glass of water, like right now, you may not know, I may have had like an injury in my right arm. And even though I'm holding it for a second, it may be killing me to hold this glass of water. I may be really, really muscular and I can really hold the glass of water and have upper body strength and clearly glass of water longer than other people. So it's no big deal if I hold it for an hour or two. So at the same time, we're quick to judge, how heavy is that glass of water? How heavy did that stress really impact that person? How heavy did that scenario really impact that person? We may not realize, maybe a little bit, maybe not at all. Maybe it's not heavy at all. But to the person, if they have a broken arm and holding that glass of water, or they have past narratives or trauma in their life that they carried along, and that situation triggered something, that is heavy. That is some heavy glass of water. So at the same time, this whole story just opened up empathy to me, because not only looking at my glass of water and how I hold it, but looking at how others may be holding their glass of water, that I may not know anything about their situation, but we all must always come out with kindness. That's what came onto my mind. I just thought it was amazing. And I hope you could relate to that. So are we ready to get started? We ready to get started? Hearts, show of hands. Awesome. So we have a truly international, we always have international people, but this one, oh my goodness, we have India represented, North Carolina, Indonesia, Canada, Maryland, and the Netherlands speakers, not to mention everyone else in the attendees that are represented from all over the world. I am so, so honored. Our first speaker is Minku. So Minku is all about joy, all about spreading joy, hope. And if you look at her profile, her first quote that you see up there is, "Joy is your birthright." That immediately, of course, attracted me to her. But we first connected through a group called Humans First. I know some of you are part of that group, which is a whole other webinar on that. It's an amazing group of transformational people that are just of service to the world and to the workplace. Speaking of Minku, she's award-winning transformational facilitator herself. She's all about work-life balance. She has her own shows as well and initiatives, especially her show, the 1st and 15th of each month, a talk show on YouTube. She's all about hope, healing, and her aura is just so nurturing and warm. And I am so, so honored to have you here, Minku.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And I'd like to acknowledge each one of you on a Saturday morning, a Saturday evening with a namaste. And that's the sign of respect in India for the beautiful souls that you are. I just today, when I was thinking about, like Andrea said, to be spontaneous, when I close my eyes today and in my inner scene, I see a small girl with little thick oil pigtails crying miserably and, hugging a very sickly, full of ticks puppy called Cuddles. Why? Because that puppy in its scrawny state had the kindest eyes. It wagged its tail with unconditional love for her. And that girl was me. I must have been about 10 or 12 years old, craving from a lot of love. And maybe some of you here can relate to what I'm sharing about growing up in an environment where you so crave for acceptance and unconditional love, and so bad that it hurts, and you don't get any. And no matter how hard you try. So a lot of us grow up with a very innocent inner child that's so badgered, so broken, that it can take a lifetime of healing and nurturing, right? I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. So fast forward the story a little bit. I was witness to about 4 decades of very disastrous, potent, I would call it poison of rejection. I had a lot of unwanted, vile insinuations, accusations, and it's strange when I think about it, because no matter how hard I tried to be like that what the goody girl syndrome, how hard I tick the boxes. I don't know. I tried to be the best daughter ever. I did not care for self-care, self-preservation, just so that I could resolve, if I can describe it, the very toxic and very depressive environment in my birth family. And in spite of all of that, I still failed to get the appreciation and validation that my soul was craving for. And unlike the end of a fairy tale, especially in the Indian Hollywood movies, where they say they lived happily ever after, I just couldn't save my failing marriage. And it just disintegrated in front of my eyes. The funny part, till today, I still do not understand that illusionary veil that was on everyone's eyes that did not allow them to see my pure luminous soul. It resided in me, right? And it resides in all of us, but it's just that no one could see that. And really today I say, who can fathom the mysteries? Maybe it was karmic residue, who knows, right? Anyway, to cut the story short, it was a painful phase. I came back to India in 2005, divorced, broken. I was coming back to a country that I could not recognize because I'd been overseas for 17 years. And another tragic blow, I lost my mom the day I was moving to India. And here she was supposed to be my biggest support, and now she was gone. So you can imagine, very, very difficult, devastating phase of my life. And I was sinking really fast. And I would come up for air once in a while, just for that gulp. And two miraculous things happened. And that was my salvage. And that's the story I want to share with you today. It was about a year later, I'd moved to India, and I woke up one night in the middle of the night, and I heard this very gentle and a very smooth feminine voice. And I can't remember, frankly, how it sounded, but I know it was feminine, and maybe it was my inner voice, who knows. But I distinctly remember this. And the voice said, "Broken again, damn." You can never be broken. You can fall, you can get the bruises, but you will never be broken. And I really just couldn't sleep after that. And I stayed awake till the sun came up. And I stayed like this zombie for the next, I don't know, many weeks. The second incident that was my salvage from that brokenness that I had felt in my childhood and my first marriage was, I met this amazing woman who, it was a fast train. I know that I was going from Tokyo to Kyoto. She had this wrinkled face and the kindest eyes. Have you ever looked into eyes and you go like, oh my God, that's the kindest eyes you've ever seen? And of course, she was wearing pearls, and I'm fascinated with pearls. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and we started this conversation that changed my life. Her name was Kimari. She was a 99-year-old Okinawan. And she is the one, my dear friends, I wanted to share. She shared the concepts of ikigai. She shared concepts of kintsugi. And I could relate to that, right? Because I felt the brokenness, and kintsugi is about embracing your brokenness, and the wabi-sabi. And that's 45 minutes later, I had decided to close my successful fashion business, and I'd started on a journey to heal myself. And this is what I want to share with you all today. That in spite of a journey of 4 decades of trials, of tribulations, of anguish and trauma and wounds, today I stand tall in front of you all, and it has nothing to do with my 5 feet 7 inches height. I stand tall as a joy ambassador, as you know, very kindly Andrea said, and that is a validation that we can all come out the other side healed and joyous. It's just that we need kindness. We need that kindness showered on us very timely, so that we can stay love, we can be love, and we can shower hope and kindness. And that's when I wrote my first anthology in a book called Diversity, and that went on to become a winner in the Scholars Book of World Record. So earlier today, Andrea, when I was thinking of what message do I want to leave behind, I just want to say two things very quickly before I wrap up. I want to keep this short because one is kindness is grace, and kindness is graceful, because none of us are perfect, right? So how can we be kinder to ourselves first? Self-love. We are so harsh, like you rightfully said, holding that glass of water. It just completely breaks us. It tires us. It's exhausting. So I look back and I can say this: when I filled my own bowl, that is when I felt enabled and empowered to share empathy and to share love with others. That's when I learned how to forgive. So Andrea, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for allowing me this space to express my gratitude to, I would say, all the amazing people that I've met till today. I've lived in 9 cities in India. I've lived in 8 cities overseas, and I've imbibed the value systems. I've learned about cultures, kindness, and today I have a beautiful sisterhood around me. The second thing I want to say is kindness, and I want to invoke this today as an opportunity in all of us, that kindness is not an act, it's actually a movement. We've all been done, someone or the other has done a kind deed, and we want to pay it forward, right? So consciously, unconsciously, sometimes it's an inspirational word. It helps someone somewhere to hope and to cope and have the courage during the most trying times. I consciously smile at my the security guy or the grocery checkout girl. So what I'm saying this is that can we create this wave, this ripple that can keep rolling, and so that in the end it affects the whole community and it becomes a part of the collective consciousness that we all are. So I'm just going to take that last minute before I wrap up. Would you all like to play with me for a minute? Can we take this opportunity to invoke a ripple effect of, so if I can just see some hearts, some thumbs up, so that we can do this together. Yeah? Okay, sure. So can we just take this last minute before I close and hand this over, the baton of love, this rally. So let's close our eyes just for a minute and put our hands on our hearts. Let's pause and notice the flow of our breath in, breath out. And in the next breath, I would like you to just breathe in love. Breathe in such loving awareness into your heart. Just take a minute to cultivate this for just a few more seconds. And now you can feel the smile that's starting to emerge onto your heart, onto your lips. And now I invite you to exhale this kindness and hope into the world and see how it lands into the hearts of the people who need it. And mind you, so many people out there need it. Take just a few more seconds to set an intention for yourself for each day. How may you listen today actively? How may you empathize more? Keep breathing the beautiful energy. How may I perform a random act of kindness? I promise you it will change your life. Slowly, let's open our eyes. I'm seeing a lot of smiles all over. I'm feeling the energy. I know you can feel it. So I just want to close with a huge thank you for accompanying me on that beautiful exercise to raise the collective consciousness of the universe. Let's be the change that we wish to see in the world. I invite you to be the Santa Claus who's going to spread sunshine, hope, and a lot of kindness in the world. Thank you so, so much.
Ooh, that was amazing. I'm supposed to speak after that. Oh my goodness. So I felt the act of releasing it to everyone. I could feel it, and it just felt so good to release it as well. Minku, that was so amazing. What a way to kick it off. And I must say, what you were sharing as far as your story as that little girl, I felt like we are soul twins because I went through the exact same experience. And thank you and bless you for everything that you're doing. You are really amazing. Any comments or questions for Minku? Tim.
Yes, Minku, I just wanted to thank you so much for that exercise. First of all, it felt so good, and it's been a super stressful week for me. So that exercise and also everything you said, Andrea, that resonated so much, obviously. And also, I love that you're a Joy ambassador. My wife's name is Joy. So that resonated super closely also. So just thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that, Tim. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh, I love seeing, thank you, Tim. I love seeing people connect like that. Inspired by words. You never know what you can say and how many people you'll inspire or who you'll inspire. Anyone else? You got a lot of hearts, Minku, and also read the comments. It's very appreciative of your words and your influence.
Andrea, I actually felt this ringing in my hands, and I just felt the collective serious intentions in everyone, just rooting themselves to that moment. And there's nothing we can do when we get together and there's a collective energy at source in work. So thank you everyone for joining in and spreading hope. And you, Andrea, the beautiful soul you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow. Now that we are full of just ready to push forward this movement, because I do agree this is a movement. Let's continue on to our next wonderful speaker, Jean. Where are you? There's Jean. Jean. So Jean and I go way back. Actually, we met through Twitter, and she would come on my Dare to Be chats, which I hold every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, although I am taking a little hiatus right now to focus on other things. But Jean also has done such great initiatives as well online. There, back in the time where there was Blab, I don't know if you guys remember Blab, but that was one of the, I remember you had a show and you were so kind to invite me on. Those were the days where I was terrified of going on shows. It was one of my first shows, and you were so kind and just wanting to spread inspiration and kindness and courage to others. And I know you are a very creative person. You have a very strong faith, and it's also enveloped in everything that you do. In fact, I saw on your LinkedIn, which I didn't know this, you're the CEO of Lit with Salt blog and shop. That sounds so cool. It's about inspiring and encouraging and empowering others, faith-based articles, fashion, gym apparel, prayer pillows. I love it. I can't wait to hear more of your story, Jean. Welcome.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Okay, as she said, my name is Jean, and we met back, it's been some years now, maybe almost 10 actually, doing Blab IM, which was a spin-off of Twitter. They wanted to have this live kind of feed show kind of thing. And it was actually my husband and I, because my whole, I'm a planner. So let me just say, I took your bullet points, Andrea, and I totally answered those just because it's easier for me to go in sections and keep things in order. That being said, I'm a much better writer than a speaker, or I prefer to write. So one of the reasons it's important for me to be here today is I'm just being brave. Like that's the first part of it. Because in my journey, she mentioned my faith and everything, which is Jesus Christ, but that's neither here nor there for this. But in my journey, I'm called to speak and I still struggle with that. So just being brave and not canceling at the last minute because I thought about it, to just be here speaking. And then also just to share a part of my story in hopes that someone out there may be just like me, and maybe this will give them a little shred of hope, or at least know that they're not alone in this midlife kind of thing. So my story, I'm going to actually pick up when COVID started. I was working at a photography studio doing paperwork and stuff like that. And I really liked it there. It wasn't about money or anything like that, but I was happy in that environment. So my life was pretty happy at the time. And when COVID hit, I was laid off. And so I was home a lot. And I said I would take this time to really dig into the Bible and just be with God and study and all those things. And God showed up for me and set me on this path, like really woke me up. And it was at that time also where there were a lot of things politically and different things just always going on anyway. But I hit this spark where like, I was just so tired of the things that were fed through the media, through the news, through any outlet. It's always seemed kind of muffled to me, where there's no truth that just comes out, like just the plain truth. There's always some kind of, agenda or some kind of, ulterior motive as to why people share things. And I was like, wow, like, I'm so tired of this, like all of the shenanigans. I just want the plain truth. Like, that's it. So God stuck me on this path. And I actually started a blog at that time called To Tell the Truth. And it was still based on faith and things like that. But then I went through a bit of I like to call it a wilderness or a blip, if you've seen any of those Marvel movies, because I was in a state of where I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I wasn't working. I just did a few things here and there from home because I have different gifts that don't necessarily culminate into one specific role or job. So I would build websites, I would write articles, I would, make graphics, because I can do all of these things, but I just wasn't doing them to actually earn money. And at this time, I'm 42 or 43 years old. I'm almost 45 now. So it's been a couple of years that I've been on this journey of God building me up to make me who he wants me to be. And I don't enjoy it, to be quite honest. I am not a patient person. So if you've ever experienced this moment, no matter what your faith is, if you felt like you were just kind of in a moment where you didn't know what your next steps were, you didn't know what you were supposed to do, or if you knew what you were supposed to do, what your purpose was, you were questioning that. Is that really what I'm supposed to do? Is that really what my life is about? Like, it would just plague me and I would be really nervous. I see Sheila says she's there now. Girl, you're not by yourself. It's a good place, but it's also a strange place. For me, I know what God wants me to do, but I don't know how. And it's a very strange to be this age that I am, 44, and feel as though I'm at the beginning of my entire life, which it's not supposed to be that way, says the world, says, everybody around you who tells you what your goals should be and how you should be a hustler and how you should go for this and how you should, be driven and all of these things. You should find your passion and all of these things. And I'm like, passion? Like, what what is that? Some people know what that is. For me, I can do many things well, and I can go from here to there, and none of it sparks in me what my faith does. So I was saying, my passion is my faith. Like, I just want to do what God wants me to do. I want to share Jesus. I want to help bring people to him. I can't save him. He does that, but I can catch him, right? I want to be the fisherman or whatever. And it's in the world and just the way you live. Well, how am I supposed to make money? And so this is where I'm at now, because it's a sad reality that I came to. I would always tell my husband, like, I just don't care about money. And I still don't. But the reality is that you need it to live. So what do you do? And this is exactly where I'm at now. I don't have the answer for you. I don't have the answer for myself. But I'm sharing this to say that I think it's okay that I don't have the answer. And I'm just realizing that, like, I think it's okay. Like, in this time, if I don't have the exact answer as to what path I'm actually on, in that moment, I will sit and say, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I still need to build myself up. I need to be in a positive space. I need to love myself honestly. Look at my whole self and say all these things, even I don't like about myself, the things that I feel like I should have known that those people were going to do that to me or that this was going to happen. I have to just take all of that and say, you know, God says, love your enemies, right? And I don't think that a lot of us realize that that means us too. We don't call ourselves our enemy, so to speak, but we are the most critical, even hypercritical of ourselves. So instead of beating myself up, I'm working to flip that. And I say working because this is currently going on. I'm working to flip that and say, you know what? I'm going to cut myself a break. You know, like, if I am supposed to love my enemies, I have to start with myself, or I can't do anything else. And so, and I feel as though, regardless of any religion, regardless of any nationality, culture, or whatever, love is one of those common denominators. We can't accomplish anything without that love, which spawns the kindness, right? And the gentleness and the empathy and all of these things. It's all rooted in that love. And a spin on that self-love, because I used to get caught up in, well, I don't want to be so self-absorbed that I lose, you know, trying to actually help others. And so I heard something once and it stayed with me, that being humble doesn't mean that you think less of yourself. It means that you think of yourself less. And that was really telling, that it's not that you think less of yourself, that you think that you're low or that you have to be the lowest. It's that you think of yourself maybe last, or you think of yourself less than, you know, if you were in this space all alone. And so I don't know if any of that came together for anybody, because as I said, I'm still growing into my speaking, so I don't know how collective all of that storytelling was. But for some inspirational words, I just will say, it honestly doesn't matter what age you are. And I'm saying this to myself as well. It doesn't matter what part of your journey that you're in. What matters is that you own that you realize, this is where I'm at. And then from this point, in this moment right now, I can choose how it goes. That next step, I get to choose. I get to choose. And lastly, all those people that are pressing the overnight success, and, you know, the internet is just booming now, and all we see is people's end result. be mindful that that overnight success was 20 years in the making. We don't see all the underneath of the iceberg. We just see the tip on top of the water. So cut yourself a break. Love your number one enemy first, which is yourself. And then you can grow from that. You will find similar people who are just like you, and it will culminate. It will grow into something amazing. Yeah, that's my story.
Jean has arrived. You have arrived, my friend. You have arrived. This is the first day of the rest of your life. You are such an inspiration. I can also relate to everything that you're saying. I currently also feel like I just woke up and I didn't know who I was anymore. The person that I thought I was the past, couple of decades it was just molded by society and my environment. But when you wake up, it's the hardest. Oh my gosh, it's the hardest, most confusing era of your life. But it's finally the time where you actually can live your life as you. And it's never too late. It is never too late. You have so much more to give to this world. And your words today touched so many people. I invite you to read all the comments. You saw so many hearts. You have arrived, Jean. Let's see. Oh my God, look at all the questions. I don't know who came first. I'm sorry, but let's go with EPEC first.
Thank you very much. And I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Jean. And you said, I know what I want to do. I don't know how. And when my clients tell me that, I always tell them, just focus on what you want and visualize yourself there and having that already with you, and feel the gratitude for being able to create that, even if it's not with you yet. The main thing is it's not with you yet, and it will. So don't worry about how. Focus on what. And the how will come to you. That's it.
That's super. Thank you so much.
Amazing advice. Thank you, EPEC. Tim.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, just thank you so much for sharing, and so much of what you said resonated. First of all, I'm the same age as you, so there's that. Secondly, I've been doing a lot of work in the cancer community. I'm a cancer survivor, and so I've been doing a lot of work that is not paid. I do some paid work, but I've been spending a lot of my time volunteering my time, and I do need to make more money, right? So just like trying to figure that out, and like what you were saying about, and just, trying to figure out, you know what I mean, right? And like finding the balance and just figuring out the next step and all of, you know what I mean, right?
Yes. Just not having the drive to chase the money, but that money is necessary. So it's I don't know what that balance is. Like I said, I don't know the answer. I just know that my heart is in the right place, and I believe that somehow, again, whatever your belief, it doesn't matter. Mine is God. So it's like, I just feel like somehow it'll work out. And
exactly.
that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but like, I never said I wasn't crazy. So,
Right. And you want to do and you want to do what you're passionate about, right? Like, I know I want to do, like, I know I want to work in the cancer space, like whether it's with my own organization or business, or like, I know I'm passionate about that. Is that the same for you?
Yes. And I get caught up even because what I'm passionate about, I dare not ask for money. Because that's the whole problem with people in church now, is that, all they want is money, and and so I don't want that to be what people see in me, because I'm called to be different than, like, I don't go to church, I am the church, that kind of thing. Like, that's where I'm at. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that this is what I am passionate about. I'm called to do it. This is my purpose. And I'm fortunate enough that I have a husband still right now who supports me in that and is helpful to me. And I say still right now, because what I didn't share just real quickly is that even in that transformation, like, I was like, I don't even want to be married. Like, I just want to be by myself, me and God. Like, I don't even want to, so we've been through it, like, for real. Like, but yeah, I would just say your happiness, it matters, not only to you, but to all the people that you touch. So yeah.
How can we connect with you, Jean?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. It's under Jeanatar. It's actually my name, Jean, and then Atar. It's like Avatar, but I put Jeanatar.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Can you put it
but
on
yeah,
the
you can
comments? Can you write it on the comments? How people can
yeah,
connect with you?
definitely.
That'd be
Absolutely.
great. Thank you so much. Great
Yeah,
questions,
thanks,
Tim.
guys.
Let's see. We have 2 more questions, and when we need to run to Sonia. Jim, we're gonna put Sonia before you, because Sonia, poor thing, it's the middle of the night for her. Oh my gosh. So Melody.
I can completely relate. And Peter and Andrea can tell you how I was not comfortable sharing either. I was a writer as well, still am. But yeah, being out there, not something I was comfortable with. It's scary. But there are a couple of things I wanted to point out. One, if you just wait, God will show you the steps little by little. So you don't have to know everything right off. You don't even have to know what the next step is. He'll show you. That's number one, because your faith is going to be your biggest asset. And then the critic in your head, try to think of it as, all right, this is my best friend, because no matter where I am in my life, I'll be with me. So turn that voice into a honest best friend. So if they say something to you, you can either go, you're not going there, or you say, you know what, you're right, and this is what I can learn from it. So you follow that with, because it takes a while to get that critic to stop that annoying, obnoxious criticism. You don't want the negative criticism that doesn't help you grow. So turn that voice into your best friend, an honest best friend, and talk to her the way you would an honest best friend. And then it's never too late, because I didn't start doing this until I hit 60. So you definitely are not too late. So just keep going, and your inspiration will be powerful and will have an impact. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Melody, you're awesome. You're so awesome. David.
It's another rally day. Let's go. Just great speakers so far, and I'm sure we're going to have great speakers going forward. Just wanted to say thank you for your bravery. It's hard to get up on a stage and say, what's in your heart in front of all these people. It's a journey, and I'd just like to applaud you and send positive energy in your direction. What else resonated for myself was, I don't know. 3 powerful words. I don't know. We don't know where we're going. The journey isn't always going to be set out for us. If somebody told you where you were going to be 10 years from now, you would believe it. But it's just step by step. And that's what we do. We take each day step by step. It's not about the end process. It's about the journey. That's the power. That's where this really resonated. That's where we all as a whole should look at. You're right. People want instant gratification. It's not about that. It's about the journey. It's about the learning. And that for me is what's really important. So like I said, look, thank you for coming to the stage, and I really appreciate you sharing.
Thank you,
Thank you so
David.
much.
Jean, how are you feeling?
Happy.
You
It's
have
wonderful.
arrived, like
Good
I
to
said.
see that people can at least resonate with some of it, you know, and just being honest. So yeah, it feels good.
Thank you so much for
May
being
I
here.
say one more thing, Jean?
Ipek.
I would please like you not to say again, I'm not great at speaking, but I'm good at writing. You are doing, it's unfair to you. You are doing, what is the word? I cannot even find the word, but it's not true. You are a great speaker and you can be anything anyway. Just
Thank you.
love you.
Thank you.
Yes. Great words, Ipek. Yes, please, Jean and everyone else, please share how everyone can connect with you. This is a community. We're here to support each other beyond today. So thank you so much, Jean. Thank you so much. The next speaker, Sonia. Oh my goodness, Sonia. I completely forgot about the huge time difference. And you willingness to still be here is amazing. And it means so much to me. Sonia, we met through a mutual connection, Mr. Tim Sohn. So anyone that is a friend of Tim's is certainly going to be an inspirational person. So Sonia is, I know I've been learning about you and looking at your content, and yet another inspiring person.
Oh,
Oh, what did I say?
no. Thank you so much
Oh,
for inviting me here.
oh yes. I wanted to make sure that people know that you're a live streaming coach. You help businesses, owners through live streaming, and your motto is to inspire to succeed. You create platform for others to inspire to succeed, various world summits. In fact, you have a world summit coming up in 2023 in Bali. You have so much going on and so many gifts that you're sharing to the world.
know.
I'm so honored that you're
I
here.
know. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Andrea. This is an honor for me to be here. And I'm very happy to meet everyone here. Hello, world, and hello, universe. How are you today? It is my midnight time here. And yes, sorry, because actually I'm on the recovery. And while I'm on recovery, because this week suddenly I fell sick because of the mosquito on the beach. I walk on the beach with my friends, so I got stung by a mosquito, and then yeah, it was really terrible. It made me had fever and everything, but it's not fever dengue or something like that. No, I had it a long time ago also when I went to, but it was many years ago to the South Beach. And at that time we watched what is it the sea turtle, the mother turtle that lay her eggs on the beach. So I got the wild mosquito also, so it seemed that I am too sweet, until mosquito loves me like that on the beach. So yeah, thank you so much, Shane. Great to meet you too. You can call me Sonia, and it's an honor for me to be here. And 10 minutes, yes, for my platform today. Okay, let's
Yes.
start it now. For 8 minutes already, because I already reduced 2 minutes. So let me introduce myself. I'm Sonia from anitasonia.com. So I made our coaching universe for, how do you call it, my company profile also. And then I help entrepreneurs, business owners to create personal branding with live streaming. I know that everyone is not confident like I used to be. Actually, not that long time ago. It was last year I started to hold an international event online. What I mean, because I want to go international, But then your environment, even the national motivator had a mindset like this in here. You go outside, abroad, what I mean, and it can be everywhere. But there you still meet the same people. You know what I mean? So I don't think we go international that way. And I think today we go international this way because we meet so many people, we meet so many experts around the world like this. So yes, actually I would like to share a lot of uh, challenges or struggles that I had before I reached my confidence in live streaming. And even now, I am surrounded by, positive people, amazing people who lift me up, who support me on my programs, on my vision, on my mission. So one of them is Timson, even though he ghosted me 3 times, I think on my online event. So Sonia, I would like to be the guest expert speaker, but then he disappeared again. He disappeared again. So Tim, are you still here? So, no, I'm just kidding. But finally, we met our time last week. Yes. Then he also introduced me to Andrea. So that's why we come to this platform. You see the power of networking, the power of you being surrounded by positive people. Long time ago, I was surrounded by a lot of people. They are very famous. They are billionaires. They are authors. They are mentors, coaches, consultants, the same as I was before. But then it didn't make me happy because what happened at that time, like people, you know, competed each other, they attack each other. So everyone like throwing other people under the bus or something like that. So it didn't make me happy. Then I told myself like this: I can do much more than this. Yeah, it scared the hell out of people, of course, because actually, uh, I didn't know why at that time. And then my best friend told me that they see your potentials, right? So sometimes people can see your potential and they are scared of it, not because of they are afraid of competitors, but actually because they cannot be like you. They wanted to be like you, but they have no power to be like you. This is what I want to share tonight for everyone, maybe who is introvert like me. I get along with people where out of there. I hang out with my friends out there. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm doing? Kissing my pillow, right? Then that is the way for me to charge my energy. I know that it is very hard for introvert to get along with people, but it doesn't stop me to go live streaming. Since I was a child, I was afraid of camera, really, really afraid of camera. Maybe I didn't have a lot of photos on my childhood, but then now, can you imagine the progress after transforming myself? And it is a long journey, of course, to transform myself. And right now, I have international speakers, and they are experts in their industries. And yeah, maybe last year when I started my first international event online, the some coaches help me to share on the 3 groups, right? And then directly there were about 600 comments. So many people wanted to be speakers. Do you know how to filter them? So oh my god, it was really, really what is it? Exciting, but also worrying me at the same time. So like, oh my God, what should I do? Because at that time, I really wanted to connect with the speakers. I wanted to know them personally. That's why I didn't make any like type form or Google form at that time, right? So, and then directly there was a friend from Harvard University, and you know, if someone is from Harvard, the image is really, oh, you are a great person in education and also to connect with the people. So I asked her to filter some of the speakers, but also I asked them to start recommending some expert speakers. That's how I keep the quality of my online events, right? Because I would like the best of the best. Maybe there are so many amazing speakers out of there, and do not forget about um, they are very famous, but they are not all for your show. This is what I mean. What I would like to share tonight, and maybe they are not. What is it? They are not easy to work with, for example. So at the end, you know what I do? I just want someone who is fun to work with. And for example, like this, there was an assistant or virtual assistant or whatever you call it. And she was very harsh to me. She said that my boss would like to be speaker on your event, blah blah blah. Then I said to her, I'm so sorry. If you have a big brand like this and you are a virtual assistant or you are an assistant of your company, you represent your company. So if you are like that, I don't believe that your company is that great. You know what I mean? Even though it sounds really, really uh, great. So what I mean is, we need to be careful also to choose someone as our colleagues or our partner or our assistant because they represent our brand, right? So this is how I started my journey as a host also on my live streaming because you know at the end again I would like someone who is fun to work with. Maybe they are famous, they are rich, they have everything in my imagination or in my image. But then yeah, of course some people would like to underestimate me, saying like you don't have big followers, you don't have big audience, but you are very proud as a host that you really filter your what is it your speakers that way because you don't know so many people yet. But I just keep moving on, so whatever people say, no matter how what your challenges are, keep going to reach your dream. That is what I mean to share tonight. So no matter what your challenges are, of course it is very easy to tell about challenges, about obstacles if you want to call it, but what I mean is like keep going, keep moving, never give up because you will get there to reach your dream. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you all. And yes, again, it's an honor to be here to know you all. And thank you so much, Andrea, for this chance, for
Thank you,
this
Sonia.
opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sonia, and your dedication to just spread your message today, regardless of the crazy time it is over there, and you're still awake. I am so humbled and
Thank
honored.
you.
That you are so right, completely right, and we are here to continue go on, spread your gifts. Doesn't matter how many followers you have, and that the person that is meant to hear your words is going to show up, and they're going to hear that message. As long as you can touch one person, that can create ripple effects. So thank you so much. Any other messages
Thank
or
you so
comments
much.
for Sonia? Tim?
Tim, I hope you
Yeah.
don't ask difficult question tonight, yeah?
Oh, you know me. I always have burning questions, Sonia.
What
No, I
is
just
it?
wanted to say thank you for staying up so late. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you.
And I'm just super proud of you. I've seen you over the last few years really grow,
Mm,
and you have such amazing speakers in your programs and even
thank you.
such reputable brands part of your program. So I just wanted to say
Yeah.
congratulations to you.
Yeah, I'm very honored that big international brands started to sponsor my show also, right? And then also, of course, many speakers would like to sponsor also because by sponsoring our event, it means they provide the platform for other speakers for everyone who would like to learn from their favorite speakers or favorite mentors or coaches or consultants, right? That's my mission actually. Thank you so much for all of the beautiful comments. Love you all.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much. Now we are at the last half of the show event movement already. I cannot believe time flies. I wanted to reach out really quick. There's some people on here that have been extremely kind. Speaking of following your journey despite challenges and keep going, have been extremely kind to me as I launch my first in-person event, the Worthy Rally for Hope and Kindness in-person experience, Houston, Texas, October 15th. And there's so many people that believed in me more than I believed in myself. I've always had this dream of doing this. And I want to acknowledge those people. First of all, of course, Tim Sohn, who's been my accountability partner for the past 6 months. We meet every single week, and he makes sure that I follow through on what I'm supposed to do week by week to get this done. Then we have, of course, people that have stood up and just mentioned, yeah, sure, I will sponsor your event, even though they can't make it, which there's so many wonderful people out there. But we have Mr. Jason Freeman. We have Bill Tomoff and his lovely wife, Terry, who's not here right now. We have so many other people also that aren't here today, but in Melody, we have Peter Clark. Also, we have EPEC. Some of these people are even speaking at the event. I am so excited. Sajal, my dear Sajal, also, she's always so just showing up all the time to these rallies and has always supported me. So I'm so excited and hope, if you haven't heard about it, of course, my accountability partner, thank you, Tim. He put the link in the chat to register for the event. Please check it out. If you cannot make it, I completely understand. But if you're willing to be part of the movement and spread the word, share kindness, that would be amazing. Speaking of, since he's my accountability partner, I'm his accountability partner because he too is holding his first in-person event in 2 weeks in September. Really quickly, Tim, share that.
Yes, thank you. In 2 weeks, September 10th, 2 weeks. Yeah, September 10th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer in-person event for cancer patients, cancer survivors, cancer supporters to come together in person, share their story, be supported, feel inspired. You can find out more information and sign up at perspectivesoncancer.com.
Yes.
So there's that. And also, I just really quickly wanted to share this quote with you guys. My mom sent this quote in the mail, and I'm going to use it in the welcoming remarks of my in-person event. And she shared this quote with me. It says, "There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. And all at once in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you." That's by Jacqueline Woodson in The Day You Begin.
Whoa, so relevant. Thank you so much, Tim, for sharing that. That's so powerful. And I am so proud of you because you've come a long way too.
You too. Your event's not that far off either.
Yes.
Thanks for all your support.
So if anyone needs accountability partners to make your dreams come true, please find one or come to us. We will hold you accountable, I promise. So let's continue on. We have Jim as our next speaker. Jim, I met Jim through Twitter, Dare to Be Chat. The past couple of years, he's been a great supporter there. That was my first initial passion project that I started about 9 years ago. And he was one of the ones that joined in, and ever since, every Tuesday, as much as possible. We also met through a mutual chat on Twitter, which I highly recommend, called People Skills by Kate Nasser. She's amazing. She's actually my inspiration for wanting to have the courage to hold my own chat. So lots of great stuff there. Jim is about leadership. It's about thinking differently. He's also a writer. He's the district governor of Lions Club International, and he is passionate to serve and improve communities. He's also helps entrepreneurs in his full daytime job to shave years off of debt, increase lifestyles, and save for secure retirement. Jim, I am so excited to see you, first of all, because we've only communicated via chat on Twitter, and so excited that you're here.
Oh, thanks, Andrea. It's good to be here. So anyway, what we were talking about earlier is like beating the odds and everything. And so mine isn't exactly, hugely dramatic, but interesting anyway. Back in '84, I was in the Air Force, writing for Airman Magazine, because that's what I was doing full time in public affairs, writing and editing stories. And back in '84, it was we alternated each year for who was going to be making overseas trips. It came up that I was going to be making the trip over the Pacific. So they gave me 7 stories to do in like 35 days to go ahead and get research done so I could write them up later. And these are magazine stories for Airman Magazine, which was the official magazine of the Air Force. So the first stop was in the Philippines, where the only thing I knew that I was going to be writing a feature story on a psychiatric technician at Clark Air Base. So when you do feature stories, you do like on the job, off the job stuff. And the first day was, following around on the job at the hospital and like seeing what kind of things she does. The next day was going to be the off the job, see how her personal life is and everything. So the photographer and I, we met her at her apartment, and just to get right to the chase real quick, her housekeeper is now my wife. So now to make that short story longer, so we go around and we're going around downtown, looking at things, getting the feature story aspects of off the job stuff. And that night, the photographer and I and the two of them, her boss and her, we all met at the one of the entertainment places in the downtown area, and a couple hours there. Next, and my wife to this day says, I didn't understand who this strange person was talking to me about Pennsylvania and snow. Like, who sees snow? This is the Philippines we're talking about. But anyway, just was talking with her, and then the next day was off to a different place in the Philippines for try to get research on another story. On the way back, tried to meet up with them back at Clark before I headed to Japan, but they were out and about, so didn't see them. But I figured, well, I'll just write letters from there on. So the rest of the trip was a couple days up in Japan, then Korea, and come around back Okinawa. And then as we were leaving Japan, we had a choice. We could take this is Air Force flights. So we could take a direct flight from California to San Francisco and back, or take a long winding way back through the Philippines. I said, let's go to the Philippines. So go to back to Clark, and first thing I do is skedaddle over to where the apartment was that they were living at. Of course, nobody was home. So I leave a note on the door saying, well, sorry we missed you. We're at the visiting airman quarters before we get to our next flight. And I moped around for the afternoon, go back the evening. Well, now there's no note on the door. And I said, well, geez, that's not good. So I come back to our door, and there's a note on our door saying, well, we came by, you weren't here. Now, remember, her boss is a psychiatric technician. She said, well, we're over at the suicide hotline, and what have you. So yes, I did call the suicide hotline and contacted, and her boss was there, and my wife, future wife, was sitting next to her. So got together, and so this is now 10 o'clock at night. They come by our quarters, and we have a midnight leave time to get to catch our next flight. So 10 o'clock at night to midnight, shoot the breeze some more, exchange addresses, and go from that. Then fly back to Texas. So this is in June of 84, June, July of 84. So I spent, got to the point of every day I was sending a letter to the Philippines. And this is before email and everything. So letters are taking like 1 week plus to go back and forth and everything. So toward the end of the summer, early fall, I said, well, I think I like to pop the question, but I'm not going to do it in a letter. So I said, well, here's the number to my room. I had my own room in the dorm and my own phone. So I said, here's the phone number. So just give me a call. And so I sent that letter out knowing, well, she's going to call. It's going to be a call, a collect call from the Philippines. So this is going to be a short conversation. So I'm going to ask 2 questions. Will you marry me and your place or mine? So it wasn't until it was October 15th, 6:15 in the morning, the phone rings. I knew it had to be her because no one else would call. And sure enough, it was her. And so quick got to it. I said, well, I have a question to ask you. Will you marry me? And she said, well, my parents said, if you really loved me, you'd come here. I said, okay, that takes care of number 2. How about the first question? She says, oh, I already gave you my answer. And I'm going, okay. So a couple minutes of small talk and 10 minutes, 10 minutes, we were done. And I hung up. I said, I think I'm engaged. I'm not sure, but okay. So I called home and said to my mom, I'm not coming home for Christmas. I'll be working on paperwork because I'm getting married. Oh, goody. Call the guys I went to college with saying, well, I'm going to get married. And he said, oh, good. And I hang up. I said, I hope I'm right about this because I'm going to look like a fool. So it wasn't until 2 weeks after we talked, I get the first letter from her. And she says, oh, I'm so happy we're going to get married. I'm going, whew, well, at least I was right about that. So we had to do our paperwork because we have to go by military rules, even though she's in the Philippines, I'm in the States. She has to get a physical. I have to get a physical. Anyhow, we're going paperwork back and forth. Meanwhile, I hadn't heard from her as far as money goes. And I figured, well, she's going to need money for something and she hasn't said anything. So I just said, well, I'm just going to send her $200. And I put a note on saying, this is yours. If you need it, you got it. If you don't need it, you still got it. Put that in the mail. Couple days later, and these letters are passing in the mail, I get a letter from her saying, oh, I'm so ashamed. I have to ask you, but I found this wedding dress and it costs $200. I was so afraid to ask you. I said, well, I filled that square. She's got the $200 that she needs, and go from that. So it was pretty simpatico. So now it's the end of February. All the paperwork and everything, well, the physicals and everything are done. So I hop on the plane. February 29th. It's a leap year. It's an 84 now, and so arrive at Clark, and so she wants to have a church wedding. Fine. Overseas, you have to have, and my sister tells me this is common overseas, in order to have a church wedding, you have to be legally married first, because the church weddings don't count for legal. So March the 6th, we go to the Justice of the Peace, and the fee for the license was something like the American equivalent of like $2. And I said, yep, okay, you're worth it. Okay, so we go and get the Justice of the Peace thing done on March the 6th. Church wedding, we have that March 24th. And the answer to the question is yes. If I forget either, I'm in big trouble. So we have the church wedding. She was actually 20 minutes late for the church wedding. The priest said to me later, I was afraid she wasn't going to show. I said, I wasn't worried. We're already legally married. It's the wedding. So we do that. And 3 days later, on the 27th, we're on a plane back to the States, all married. Now, saying all that, other people who don't know the backstory they will ask, "Oh, how long did you and your wife know each other before you got married?" To which we got the act down pretty good now. So we say, "Oh, you mean like in person?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, sure. Okay, in person." "Oh, 6, 8 hours." And then we just watch everybody's jaw drop. But that was 38 years ago now, and well, seems to be holding up pretty well. But again, just persevering and beating the odds and everything. So it can work, and made sure it happened.
That was amazing, Jim. Oh my goodness, what a story of perseverance and beating the odds. Absolutely. I love the happy ending, and I love your humor as well. Never disappoints with your humor. Thank you so much, Jim. Any comments or questions for Jim? I saw lots of great comments, amazing stories, how incredible. You need to look at those, Jim, and please put down how people can connect with you. Any comments? Anything else for Jim? Jason? You're on mute, Jason.
Hey, Jim. Great story. Thank you. What would you say to those of us who, and I find myself doing this a lot. I want all my ducks in the row before I take my next step forward.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what the heck was coming next. I just went and did what they said to do. I mean, when we got to the Philippines, we had to, get this paperwork done. I already bought the tickets to return on March 27th, and that's coming there at the beginning of March without because she couldn't do anything for passports or visas because we had to be married first legally. So I had to condense it, and they had a process over at Clark to expedite marriages. Certainly not in the case we were talking about. We had no other issues except that we wanted to do it, and so we go to the embassy, and they cranked it around and everything. And so finally, the last trip we had to the embassy was the guy there saying, "Well." He has our paperwork. He says, "I think we met all the requirements. We got the passport done. We got the visa. We met the requirements. Does anything seem like we didn't do anything?" I said, "No, everything seems fine." He says, "Okay, then I guess we won't need this anymore." And he took the paperwork and just dropped it in the trash can. So there wasn't any paper trail to show how they expedited things. So, but like I said, you don't know until you try, and if it works out, it works out.
That's right. The biggest regret in life is not trying. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you so much, Jim. I really admire you and being such a good sport as well. So I appreciate you sharing your story. Wonderful story today. Thanks. Our next speaker is Danielle. Danielle, who I met through the fabulous Peter Clark, who's on here as well. He has amazing shows with amazing guests. And Danielle was one of those who just stood out to me. I reached out to her, and sure enough, on her profile, it's things that I can absolutely relate to from the heart. One of her quotes is, "People need people. We need to nurture our collective wisdom," which I'm all about that. She's a keynote speaker. She's an executive coach and podcast host as well. She has a show called The Naked Truth About. She's about work-life balance. She also has a background in neuroscience, which I am fascinated with. So Danielle, I am so honored for you to take the time to be here today.
Oh, thank you so much, dear Andrea, and hello from the other side of the world. It's about 6:20 over here in the Netherlands, and it's so wonderful to be here and listen to all your amazing, wonderful stories. I wanted to start with a short thing to mention that I had an eye surgery last Wednesday. I see my screen very blurred, so my vision is very blurred. So when I squeeze my eyes or look a bit strange, that's the reason. And my son said, "Mom, are you sure you are going on that show with the lady? Watch your face and eyes, so people might think you are drunk." So no, I'm not drunk. I live in the Netherlands. I did not visit a coffee shop in Amsterdam. It's the eye surgery. Just wanted to mention that. Yeah, as Andrea said, we met through the wonderful Peter Clark. And if you don't know his show, watch it on YouTube, Red TV Canada. He brings so many wonderful, wonderful people together. And that's where Andrea and I met. And yes, Andrea, I really want to start with a big thank you for organizing a gathering like this or gatherings like this in your free time, because sharing knowledge and wisdom is so important, and sharing things from our heart. You know, often I think we have so much information and data, but maybe not always enough wisdom to do the right things. And with all the things that are going on in the world at the moment, you know, from climate issues, political issues, burnout, loneliness, depression, the war in Ukraine, it's not that far from the Netherlands, and so on and so on. We need each other and each other's wisdom so much. And we talk all the time, we talk about big data, but we also need each other's warm data, all the intuition we have, our collective wisdom, um, sharing with each other all the knowledge and the wisdom we have deep within us. So that's why I think things like this, Andrea, are so important. Maybe a little bit about myself. I'm 54, mother of an 18-year-old son. I'm a late bloomer, a very late bloomer with everything. As long as I can think, I ran through life with huge, big question marks above my head. And even now, as Jean said so beautifully, in the era of social media, it seems like everyone knows exactly where they are going, what they are doing. Everyone is so sure about him or herself. Well, I'm not. I'm not. Um, so I'm a searcher. I'm a searcher, searching for answers to a lot of life questions. And about 10 years ago, I made a big switch. I studied management and economics in the Netherlands a long time ago. Always worked in leadership roles and HR roles. So I quit my corporate job and started studying again. I say that now in one sentence. Well, it was a journey. I just quit my job, and when you quit your job, there is no paycheck, so my bank account got emptier and empty. So I thought, oh gee, was this the right path, the right way? I was 44 at the time, and some people in my surroundings thought I had some midlife crisis or something like that. Well, I started studying again with psychology and interpersonal neurobiology. It's a field that studies how our nervous systems interact with each other and how we influence each other, and we do that more than we ever can think. Our energy communicates with each other. So that's just science. And now last year I finished my master in cognitive neurosciences. And I so much believe in the multi-potential of all of us. You know, at my age, you come from an era, you study something, you know, and kind of you do that the rest of your life. So making that big switch from the corporate world to being a student again, and I think I'm a student. I'm born a student. I will die as a student. So learning, questioning, being curious. It's for me, it's very, very, very important. And I started to study especially about our social brain, about our limbic system. Why do we do the things we do? And why do we get in each other's way and in our own way? And I so often thought, why are we making things with each other so difficult? There was that maybe a little bit childish thinking, just be kind to each other, just listen to each other, just help each other, just hold space for each other. And for such a long time of my life, I thought, there must have been some logistic error. They got me on the wrong planet. I thought, I fit in, but do I belong here? So too many questions about the interactions between people. So I wanted to know a little bit more, and I dove into science. And science says, and I don't tell you anything new with that, something we have always known is that our social needs and being kind to each other are so unbelievably important. And living in a world where we do thinking for a living, if we don't take care of our social needs, our cognition things, and my research shows that, when we have a lot of stress and we're not being heard and seen and loved, our IQ drops, and it drops a lot, I can tell you. Temporary, but it does. So not taking care of each other, not holding space for each other, not being there for each other, not feeling each other's warmth, it's not doing us any good. And we see it at the numbers of the World Health Organization. And all research shows that the quality of our relationships determine the quality of our life. So that is why I love things like today and what you are doing for us, Andrea, to make this possible, to share our stories and be together, and especially, and Jean, you spoke from my heart, talking about the things we just don't know and showing our vulnerabilities, and being humble, and saying that you don't know. Oh boy, a lot of people think when I'm on stage or whatever that I know. Yes, I know a few things, but I'm still going through life with a lot and heaps of question marks. And also, going your way. As I told you, when I wanted to study again, it was something deep down. I didn't have a clue what to do about that. It cost me a lot of money. I started I was 4, 5, or 6 years on my way, and I still didn't have a clue what to do about it, with it. And I thought, holy, when do I find a way? And when do I really know that this is the right path? Because, the people around me sometimes looked at me and thought, well, does she know what she's doing? And where is all this journey? Where is it going? Well, so it took some courage to stay on the path, to do the things I wanted to do, and listen to my inner voice, and taking enough moments of silence to keep listening to my inner voice. So to listen to my own calling, and trying to more and more come home to myself, staying with my calling, because a lot of the time my life was and sometimes is a conference call. Everyone has his opinion, and trying to stay on that path. And it was especially difficult when my ex-husband left the family about almost 5 years ago, after 3 years. And in all our lives, a lot of not so nice things happen. I had my fair share. But the last thing that happens was my divorce. And that was a moment I thought, oh boy, I'm almost 50. This is never going to be okay. I'm starting all over again as a single mom. Help. So there were a few years, 2 or 3 years, I white knuckled my way through. Um, and then I don't know where it came from, but then there was this switch where I thought, no, I don't want my son to think back to his youth, to on those years, and think my mom was tough. She white knuckled her way through. I thought, no, no, no. Now it's the time, to take a step back, to create a really warm, loving, nice nest. We did it. We have a nice little house where we live. A place that we can call home again. And I think the older I get, the more I think that's what it is all about. Yes, I had my career. I earned enough money. I have my titles and things, but at the end, it means nothing. At the end, it's the connections with other loving people, having a small, loving, beautiful, good tribe that lifts you up and helps you is one of the really utmost important things. And that's why my podcast it's called The Naked Truth About. I think that's what we are doing today, also here. In my podcast, in Peter's show, talking about the raw and honest truth, not just about the masks we show the world on social media, etc., etc. And sometimes, of course, we have to wear, in certain occasions, a little bit of a mask. But taking that mask off, finding places like this to be vulnerable, to share our pain, our beautiful things, to be vulnerable with each other, trusting the ripple effect, tip into our collective wisdom, have the courage, speaking about things like sometimes I also have this imposter syndrome and think, oh boy, when are they going to find out that I don't know that much? Showing up for ourselves, showing up in front of other people, it is so, so, so important. I'm almost 55, and Jean, I'm still searching, questioning, sometimes struggling. I don't know about the time, how long I'm talking, but I wanted to end with a quote of Maya Angelou. I do it by head. She says something like, people forget what you did. People can forget what you said, but people will never forget how you make them feel. And that is, we knew that for ages since the beginning of mankind, and now it's backed up by science. We communicate on an energetic level, and if you find a good tribe which lifts you up, that's I think one of the most important and loving and beautiful things we can do for each other.
Hey Daniel, thanks so much for sharing. Like you did, it helped me connect things in my mind. But my question is, so many of us would connect with humanity and do different things to build the collective wisdom. If it wasn't for the nagging thing of having to make money.
Yeah.
What would you say to us who have that nagging fear to give us a little more freedom?
Jason, I wished I had some answer. As a single mom now with a loving partner on my side, I'm also struggling to sometimes to make ends meet, you know. I wish there was a basic income, but because I also do so much with which I don't earn money. And I think one of the most important things we can do, Jason, is keep in touch with each other, help each other, support each other the best we can. And I believe so much beautiful things will come out of that. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. So happy to see you too, Jason. Jason's awesome. Follow him as well, please. Danielle, thank you so much. Such inspiration, so many amazing comments. People definitely resonated with your words today. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
We have an additional speaker. I usually have 5, but we have 6, a bonus. And I'm so excited because Shane, I just recently met. He's been so kind and just sharing little comments to keep me going of I really like your content, keep doing what you're doing. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to trust this process. And I think Shane showed up at the right time, and I'm going to see if he would like to speak this Saturday. And sure enough, I looked him up. He's amazing in what he does, the inspiration, and also what he stands for. Shane is known as the North Pole Life Coach. He's a man of service. He's award-winning. He's all about the neurodiverse mystic universe. And then he's also an international author. He has an amazing story, which hopefully he will share some of it today. He was in law enforcement profession, which completely changed his life. He has a book out, Shades of Broken, the Shane Flanagan story. And some adults, from what I saw, call you the Mr. Roger for adults. Because you're so kind and compassionate. And I'm like, oh, wow, he's the perfect fit for this. And I'm so honored to have you, Shane.
Thank you, Andrea. And thank you to all my colleagues and all my new friends that I have here today. It's wonderful to see you. Let me start out with, which I don't normally do, the elephant in the room, which is the guy behind me. I am a professional Santa Claus at Christmas time, have done that for about 15 years. So if you look at me and think Santa, you're correct. I love doing that work for 3 months of the year. It really gives me a different way to give back to society. North Pole Life Coach was born. That name was actually Shades of Broken, but rebranded to North Pole Life Coach because I'm Santa at Christmas time. I'm Santa all year round for people. I wrote something down as we were all talking, and this was the name of my talk. Your dreams dreamt, dreams unrealized, and dreams experienced. Now I'm going to take those last two because I wrote them down in the opposite order and just switch those around. So it's dreams experienced and dreams unrealized. And so I grew up as a neurodivergent learning disabled child. And I always wanted to be a cop. That was my dream. But I had dyslexia, and my mother always told me, you'll do better sweeping the floor in the factory, Shane, with your father. He could get you in. You'll have a wonderful, solid career. And I said, no, Mama, I want to be a police officer. And I remember she would dissuade me. And you know, it was a different time then. She says, it takes a lot of math to be a police officer. You're not good at math. But I knew I could do that job. And long story short, there I was, years later, standing in my police uniform, proud. My family was proud. I had achieved my dream, and I thought what the end of the dream was. And when I went out, the dream within 3 years quickly became about sleeping behind buildings in the middle of the night with old guys in the patrol car and They snored, and I sat as a young fellow listening to the radio calls and wanting to go to all of them. But my coach officer was this older fellow who liked to sleep behind buildings after midnight. So the dream, that part of it, and many other parts of it quickly disintegrated. It wasn't what I thought it was growing up, but I got a taste. And from that, my wife encouraged me to leave the occupation, which I did not. I loved it too much. I loved going out and catching bad guys, chasing serial killers, searching for victims. You name it, I loved doing it. Anything to do with policing. I was a master interrogator. Math didn't even enter into any part of my time with the police department, as my mother said it would. And I developed post-traumatic stress disorder, actually complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Probably about 3 weeks after my wife said, you know, they're offering, you know, you could work behind a desk and not have to kind of go through this anymore. And I say, are you crazy? Well, she was the warning sign. She was the sign for me that things were about to change. And when I went to arrest this guy, things changed. He was high on drugs, came from a federal penitentiary, and was tough as nails. Worst fight of my life. I developed complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Therapist recommends I leave law enforcement forever. Stripped me of my identity. I suffered terribly. Who was I if I was not that uniform? And in that uniform, as I know now, I could control situations where before I was a victim to situations. And so I'm starting to see the correlation. I felt out of control as a child. And then you get into the police role, everybody respects you, you control the situation for the most part, and people for the most part listen. This guy didn't listen and ended my career. Had I listened to my wife 2 weeks ago, she was the first sign, or 2 weeks earlier, I maybe wouldn't have encountered that. That then put me in touch with mainstream healing, which was 2 years out. You won't get in anywhere for 2 years. That's how much help is needed. I started to hear voices. I started to experience hallucinations. I started to feel like I was going to be killed. I heard people calling my name that weren't there. I ran over people. And I mean, you name it. It was auditory. It was hallucinations. Finally, I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed with CPTSD. And 18 years, I did a combination. One, of mainstream healing and therapy. The second, a friend said, hey, I don't know, you might like this. And it was, he knew a person that lived in the wilderness, a shaman, a woman shaman. And so I contacted her and I traveled to see her and spent the next 3 years never having grown up in the bush or knew anything about the bush, learning traditional healing from a shamanic perspective, all the while maintaining the traditional healing. And having said that, the combination of those both really gave me a journey that changed my life. And I came to realize that there are numerous ways of healing yourself. And we're only shown one. And what a great lesson for life. You can only see so many sides of what's going on around you. You can't be expected to see everything. And so don't try. I teach my clients, and I'm a bit of a unicorn beyond being a Santa Claus. I'm a neurodiverse women's life coach. Now, what does a man know about a woman and her life that he can call himself a life coach and guide and mentor them? Well, I'm here not to, and I'd be a fool if I showed or tried to tell a woman of any part of the planet how to live life. I think I better wear a good pair of running shoes. But I'm here to show women how to discover what they don't know about themselves. What they don't know about themselves. And what I've learned from my journey, which like all of you is not over, I was diagnosed a month ago with adult ADHD. Oh, 18 years of PTSD, and now a new journey starts. I'm going, oh my goodness, I don't know, I'm so tired, but you know something? I'm meant to learn this. I'm meant to go through this experience so that I can help further generations deal with this. And so I live by a motto, let life live you. Let life live you. Which means for me, and not everybody's going to be in agreement with me, but what that means is you're creating life as you go. Really, you're experiencing life like a movie, and what's constantly being placed before you is your stuff. All the things inside you, the 10-speed bike you didn't get at 10 years old because you really wanted it, but your parents didn't have the money, that circles around. Even though you think you're done with that, you've put that to bed as an adult, it comes back to you. So all these problems that people have in life are really the movie they're projecting. And I'm in your movie right now, and you're in my movie right now. And moment by moment, we are projecting our thoughts, our thinking, our skewed thinking, because of being raised by broken people. And so people kind of look at me really strangely, and they say, I don't understand any of what you've said. And so I simply ask them, and I'm a big why person. My first question to everything is why? Why? And so I said to people, you know, I know this seems confusing to you, but it's all the way your movie plays out and who you invite in. I talked about for 2 weeks how people are changing. I went into gas stations, I went into supermarkets, and I would ask the cashier, do you notice a difference in people? Because I noticed a difference in people at this time in our life. And they would say yes. And then within one day, instant manifestation came about. Because I had talked about it, I stirred up that energy of the universe. And all of a sudden, at 10:30 at night, for 2 weeks, I had strange people wander up my driveway, 10:30 at night. Then I started to see the power of what we're doing here. I'm here to tell you that you really have, in my opinion anyway, you have absolutely zero control over what's going to happen moment to moment. You're along for the ride. I heard a statement the other day that consciousness is really God within you looking at himself. Consciousness is God or the universe looking at itself, looking at your body. You're meant to be an experiencer so that you can then download that experience to others that are coming up in a very special way. To keep this short, the online rally for hope and kindness is near and dear to my heart now. I've always lived in that way. And so whoever's movie this is that's projecting, I love it. I'm happy to be a part of it. Let life live you, because really, You're a speck of sand on a planet traveling hundreds of miles through the universe. And if that isn't the happiest thing and the greatest thing in the world that you've ever experienced, then you're trying to take an experience which is unmanageable to the degree that you're trying to change it the way you like it, to the way the scene that you like to see is, because you don't like what life is being put in front of you right now. So I'm going to impose my will, or at least try to make it perfect. In reality, life is already perfect. Sit back, watch out your eyes, and enjoy this wonderful experience. And by the way, we're all mystics. People will see the word mystic in my profile. I'm a neurodiverse mystic, women's life coach. Oh, better shut that off. Mystic. Oh, he's a woo-woo guy. And, you know, we're all mystic. If you make the same cup of coffee every morning for yourself and you need that bowl of shreddies or whatever you eat in the morning or whatever ritual that you may have that you do, you're a mystic. So don't be afraid of that word. Let life live you and let it unfold, but don't touch the experience. Because once you engage in the experience, you distort it with your stuff, with all the hang-ups, with all the stuff you've collected over your lifetime. It all gets triggered and filtered through that wonderful experience called life. And all of a sudden it's a bad experience. And you have no idea why. Don't judge it. Enjoy it. Sometimes a crappy day is just a crappy day. And that's okay, because we all have them. And we learn so much from them. And you're projecting it. So why is it so crappy? Don't believe everything you see. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have lots of tears, but it's because you've touched a lot of what I'm going through, Shane. And I think you've touched a lot of people here. I mean, so many nuggets. Let life live you, and not messing with the experience is brilliant. It really just changes the whole mindset. I really appreciate you being here. And I absolutely, this is yet another example of nothing is a coincidence. You came into my LinkedIn and messages, and something told me to reach out to you for you to speak today. Not everyone gets Santa Claus on their shows. I mean, I can't top that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shane. Any comments, questions for Shane? Sejal.
So I am a huge fan of Shane, as you can tell by the comments. First of all, I have a favorable bias towards him because he's got the same name as my son. And so I'm like, Shane fan already. But he is just one of the most, I've had such a strong, deep connection with him on LinkedIn. And his content, if you're not connected with him, I strongly urge you to connect with him on LinkedIn. I mean, he is seriously just out there making this world a better place. Like, everything that comes out of his content is intended to inspire, to uplift, to show a different perspective, to shed light on some of these myths that have been ingrained into our brains that we know we need to unlearn and relearn new ways of moving forward, just like him reframing this beautiful way of, you know, that we all just love what he said, right? Live life. I'll add one more thing. You know, what I really admire about him is he has so much courage. You know, he is speaking his truth, knowing that there are people that are going to be naysayers, that are going to be out there, that are going to disagree, like the word mystic, for example, you know, just so many things that, you know, it gives me strength, you know, because there's a lot of times where I'm questioning myself about the way I put myself out there on LinkedIn. And, and there's people that say, well, you're putting too much of yourself out there. Or some people say you're not putting enough out there. And so you question, and what I've realized by watching him and his content, and I learned so much from him, is I'm going to put out there whatever I feel like I want to put out there. And I'm not going to worry about how people are judging me, what they think, if they don't want to do business with me, if they don't want to hire me, that's not my concern anymore. And I'll just end with this. I've learned very recently that all of our purpose, every single one of us that's here and in this planet, our purpose is we're sent here to serve. And so it's just a matter of figuring out how we're going to serve, and that how may change. Right. And so Jean, everybody else, Minku, everybody that's talked so far, thank you so much for sharing how you've figured out how and how you're continuing to figure that out. But like for me, I just know that I'm going to do what makes me feel comfortable and how I can add value. So Shane, you do that every day. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Oh, you're very, that was so kind. Your kindness is so wonderful and grateful. I'm grateful to you, Sijel, for making those excellent points. Because really, we create and engage in things. We touch it, as I mentioned earlier. We touch what isn't meant to be touched, only meant to be experienced. Like we're meant to we're along for the ride, we're along for the experience of experiencing. And so if the universe, God, whoever is God for you and in your religion, he or she, if we can even put a definition like that, wanted to experience life. And so they put us on the planet. Let's see how that goes. And there's been mistakes. There's been mistakes. But we've created them. We've touched what's going on in front of us that we've created in our mind, put through our stuff. And once you touch that, you screw it up worse. Be curious. Start out, just be curious about what's happening and ask why, as opposed to touching it. Thank you.
Brilliant. And Sejal, your words are always on point. Thank you for those, Sejal. I know we have a question from Danielle. I saw one from Sonia really quickly. She says, hi, Shane, would you please repeat what you said about dreams dreamt and unrealized?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just looking to the side here because, of course, that's what I had written down. I thought my dream was to be in law enforcement. That was it. As a youngster, that was it. That was as far as I could see. When that wasn't possible, I was about midlife. Not even that, a little short of midlife. And had worn that uniform for all those years. When it was gone, there's your dream unrealized. And now we have to begin to co-create a new dream with the universe. And that's what I meant by that. So don't be disappointed that you're not a doctor or whatever your parents wanted you to be, or whoever wanted you to be. Don't be disappointed that you've tried and you've failed. That's what the universe or God, that's what they're here for, to experience success and failure as experienced by each individual, because it means something different to everybody.
That's powerful, Shane. Thank you. Danielle?
Thank you so much, Shane, for sharing your story in such a beautiful way. Thank you. Just a very short question, Shane. You spoke about the two things you did in regular medicine and with the shamans. You work with shamans.
Yes, from all over the world.
From all over the world. That touches a little thing with me because I lived with the Kogies in the South of America for a while. And just one question, don't know if you want to answer it. Did you try ayahuasca? Are you familiar with ayahuasca?
I am. Interestingly enough, I'll answer no.
Okay.
Although it wasn't because it wasn't available, because it was. My teacher taught us to explore, as you will recognize the term, the other worlds, the other options, without the use of any kind of hallucinogenics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will tell you, I was invited to speak at Manitoulin Island in Ontario, Canada, which is a very remote island, hundreds of miles away. I went to this, and as I arrived, everybody was taking ayahuasca. And so the facilitator said, just sit and watch, and then when it comes your turn to speak, you can speak. I watched 6 women with their heads in buckets throwing up, and I thought, well, I knew that was good. I know that happened, but it wasn't great to watch. I came in probably at the wrong time. So I won't say never, Daniela.
I did it once. I just was curious. I don't know a lot of people who did. So, but thank you for your answer, Shane. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Wow, what a rally. Any comments, any other comments or questions for Shane, or anything about this rally today? Always amazing. I never know, for the record, what the speakers are going to share. So it always just comes out perfectly. It's the right things to share at the right time with the right people. So you just got to trust that. Minku?
Just a lot to absorb today, a lot to imbibe, a lot of takeaways, lots we can really imbibe. The one thing that I just wanted to share is when everything fails, go back to the origins of it. And I think, Shane, maybe you can relate to this from what you said. When everything fails, go back to the root cause. If we can just sweep under the carpets, because it is always a starting point, it's like unraveling a tapestry that's gotten muddled, or a piece of thread. I always feel if we can only open the cupboards with the skeletons, that's where the solutions lie. And that's when you get the courage to go to the start of that trauma, go to the start of the issue. What you said, Shane, it's a movie running, and we're all actors, and we're all doing these role plays. But in the end, there is a director sitting up there who, we have to use the trump card of surrender. Sometimes I think, you agree, Shane? Just in that surrender, you find a lot of answers. It's when you struggle that we start to make life complicated.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. A lot of people I find will look for a finish line. They take a course, they know it runs Saturday, Sunday, and it's all said and done. What I teach is a journey. For marketing purposes, my marketing people say, call it a program, or call it this or that. It's a journey. And I say to people, you can choose to let me support you and love you and guide you, but you're going to do the heavy lifting, but I'm going to be there to kind of show you and explain to you what's happening, because you'll get very scared and confused.
Very true. Wow, what an ending to this amazing rally. Thank you to all my wonderful speakers, Minku, Jean, Jim, Danielle, Sonia, Shane. Amazing. So humbled and proud that you were part of this, part of the movement that we will continue on every last Saturday of the month. So thank you so much for being here. I know you could be anywhere on your weekend, but you chose to be here. I am humbled, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.